perfect way. You no longer exist, you're no longer.
Welcome to the AfterMat Season 4 Special, the AfterMat Awards. I'm your host, the People's Champ Cal, and alongside me as always, I have my tag team partner Alicia, the Glamazon. Welcome.
Hello, hello. It's time, I guess we can call this almost like the official wrap-up of Season 5?
4.
4? Gosh, man.
Almost 5. We're starting Season 5 soon.
Yeah, I can't believe we've been doing this for 4 years. Wow.
Yep. And once again, we are completing our stable by being joined the grace by the presence of the Moon Knight itself, Skye Inc. How are you?
Hello all, and welcome to the AfterMat Awards.
He's been he did so well on the WrestleMania one, so we were like, why not bring him back and have him join us for this as well. He's wearing a glamorous tuxedo. We can't see him right now, but since it's the end of the year, we all like to dress up. You just can't see. You're not looking at my screen properly. You're looking at the wrong angle. It looks like I'm wearing a hockey jersey, but I'm actually wearing a 3-piece suit. You just can't see it properly.
We saw it. It was awesome.
Yes.
It's been...
I my green screen superimposes a hockey jersey on me permanently. But yeah. Yeah, Batman, how are you doing? I'm pretty sure that's Gary's nephew. I can't remember his name. His name slips my tongue right now. I can't remember my mind. All right, but yeah. So yeah, 4 years in this. We really love wrestling. All of us here really do enjoy wrestling, and we have a lot of people who support us through the years, and a few of them actually joined us for voting. So the way, if you don't know how the AfterMat Awards work, we count an AfterMat calendar year as the Raw after the WrestleMania through the most recent WrestleMania. So this AfterMat Season 4 Awards will incorporate the Raw after WrestleMania 36 all the way through WrestleMania 37. Devin, that's right, Devin. Welcome back, Devin. And yeah, so that's what we consider AfterMat year. And then we have, certain, I think we have about 13 categories. We removed a few because we really couldn't think of any other people that we could put for the awards. The same people kind of been winning the awards. The same moves have been winning the awards. So we kind of removed a few, and we kind of fixed a few categories as well, so we can add certain people that would have won the Rookie of the Year to the next gen kind of thing and stuff like that. So that's what we kind of did to remove some awards and make it a lot cleaner this year. And then to what we do is we consider that a calendar year, and then I have our sports journalists, I put that in quotes because we're not official sports journalists, or sports entertainment journalists, give me nominees for each of the category, 4 nominees each, and whichever nominees garner the most nominations, I should say, go on the official ballot. Once I have the official ballot, I send it back to those sports entertainment journalists, and they vote on the winner. I tabulate the votes, and then we, have a winner. There's some few notes to make about that. First, let me go ahead and acknowledge the people who voted, as of course myself, Delisha, Skye, who is here as well. We also have our fact checker, Joe, who hasn't been on the show for a while, but we do miss him. I know he's busy with work and all that. But he also voted, and 2 other supporters of the channel that are adamant wrestling fans, SydeWalkClosed, as well as Willow Firefox, they both voted as well and helped with the nominations. However, there were instances when there were ties, so I had to go to an independent source just for those categories itself. So we got another extra person for that, and that's Big Time Gaming, another supporter of the channel as well. So shout out to Big Time Gaming as well for helping us break the ties for some of the categories that we had. So all these people who I just mentioned can be found in the description below. It'll have their YouTube channels, their Twitch channels, their Twitters. So I'm glad they were able to participate and help out. So thank you once again to Joe, SydeWalkClosed, Willow Firefox, and Big Ten Gaming for your helps. All right. So with that said, before we go into the awards, though, is there anything you would suggest, Skye, to add? Like, you went through the awards and stuff like that without like giving away any results or anything. Are there any categories you'd like to see in future awards?
I would like to see funniest moment, because I feel like the WWE has a lot of obviously, you know, funny moments that happen within the shows, and I would love to be able to vote on who had the funniest moment, or you know, something like that and everything. Or I would say the best mic skills and everything within the year and everything, because there's obviously a lot of talent within the WWE, and a lot of that talent goes into their mic skills. And for those who have gotten better, definitely want to highlight their progression and you know, kind of give that award out. But that's my input.
Yeah, so mic skills and funny moments, that'd be good. They can actually coincide with each other in awards. Kind of like best promo or best mic work. I don't know. You could probably think of that's a good category. Another one I was thinking of, maybe most improved too. That would be a good category. What about you, Delisha? Any awards you'd like to see that we haven't had yet?
That we haven't had yet. I can't think of anything at the moment. I do like Skye's proposal for promo or mic work, because I feel like we talk about it on our regular shows enough when it comes to like putting people over or putting themselves over or getting the crowd into it. And we also go into it more in AfterTalk as well when we're doing like profiles of certain wrestlers. So I don't see why it couldn't be shined on the AfterMat Awards as well.
Yeah, so maybe we'll think about it, because I know in the past people have added like moment of the year I think they wanted to see, as well as pay-per-view of the year. So we've added those. So yeah, maybe next year we'll be saying promo or mic work of the year. Probably promo. That's probably the most clean-cut way of doing it, because it could be funny, it could be dramatic, it could be anything. But we'll just say for every year prior to this, Miz has won for his Smack Talk promo, because that's one of the best promos I've ever seen, because you really see the passion in his promo. It was more like a heartfelt message to the WWE Universe and to anyone out there, any of his doubters. So let's say that's the winner from all the previous years. All right, with that said, we're going to go to our first award, which is Entrance of the Year. This is one of the awards I've kind of noticed that has been kind of garnering the same winner every year. So maybe we might promo of the year might replace Entrance of the Year, because I feel like the same person's been winning every. But hey, I can't argue with the winner. So with this, I think Skye is going to be covering this one. So Skye, take it away.
All right, I am covering Superstar Entrance of the Year, which covers who had the most impressive entrance of the year. Our first nominee is Bray Wyatt, aka The Fiend, with his entrance "Let Me In," performed by the band Code Orange. Some of you may or may not know this band also did Aleister Black's theme "Root of All Evil" in NXT TakeOver. His entrance captures the very nature of The Fiend, while also incorporating his catchphrase in a very sinister and metal way that got the viewers hyped to see what supernatural things The Fiend would be doing every time he entered the ring. Our second nominee is The Hurt Business with their theme "It's Time," performed by Music Park City. The moment this faction came on the scene, the music that accompanied their entrance made it well known that they were indeed in the business of hurting anyone who got in their way. Along with Bobby Lashley's dominating force, this theme blew everyone away with a hard bass and an early 2000s hip-hop feel. Our third nominee is Drew McIntyre with his entrance "Gallantry." His theme song is such a perfect pairing off with himself as both an extremely Scottish, because they're both extremely Scottish, and I love it. Being such a great superstar, he was in a desperate need of a new theme, and this one hit the nail right on the head. Entering clad in kilt and carrying a sword, with this theme playing in the background, it definitely gave millions of people some Braveheart vibes, which is not a bad thing. And of course, that brings us to our last and final nominee, which is Sasha Banks with her theme Sky's the Limit. With her new attitude, hair color, and drive, Sasha desperately needed a new entrance, and boy, did WWE deliver with this one. A perfect example of transition. This song starts off sounding very similar to her old theme. It immediately makes a sharp right turn, the music sounding harder and more dynamic, giving viewers a glimpse into what to expect from this new Sasha Banks. And the winner is, drum roll, The Fiend.
Yeah, this is pretty much the same winner I think we've had like for the past 2 or 3 years, which is not a shock. I think this year it actually was great with his WrestleMania entrance with the Jack in the Box. That was pretty dope. And I saw Delicia's face light up when Skye once again did a fantastic job with his details and descriptions of everything, saying that his theme is by the same group that does Aleister Black's theme. And I know Delicia rocks out to Aleister Black's theme as well, so it makes a lot of sense when she rocks out to this. I also just realized that this our award show is coinciding with the Oscars, and I feel like we're gonna have more viewers than the Oscars anyway. We probably already do. So, you know, I didn't even realize the Oscars at the same time as they probably did that just to try to steal our limelight, but they never will. Delicia, your thoughts on the winner?
I mean, it's really no surprise. He's really been killing it. I really think it's because we mainly see the Fiend mainly at like main events or big match feel pay-per-views, so we don't get to see the actual like Fiend's entrance every single time, whereas some of the others, they kind of do the same thing a lot throughout the year, so maybe we get a little bit complacent with their entrances a little bit. I think that maybe that's something they can work on for the next year. WWE Superstars is do something different for your pay-per-views, and we'll notice it more, and it'll be added to the list, and it won't get demoted to the promo of the year next year.
Yeah, so I feel like the Fiend might, unless like Finn Balor comes out with another cool Demon Balor entrance, I think the only people who could really compete with the Fiend is like the Undertaker, Demon Finn Balor, and maybe some elaborate WrestleMania entrance. But they really haven't done that the past 2 years. You know, only one person really had an elaborate, besides the Fiend, only one person really had an elaborate WWE entrance this year at WrestleMania, which he wasn't even in the match. We wouldn't consider that piece of trash that was at WrestleMania this year. But do you think, Skye, anyone else can compete with the Fiend's entrance?
Now that Shinsuke has went back to his old entrance, I would say Shinsuke, because it's one of those themes where like the entire crowd just gets involved in everything, and I really love when superstars have entrances where the entire crowd gets involved, just like how it was with Sami Zayn back the face and everything like that. So that is my opinion. I feel like that would be the only one.
And I do like when they get like a live like violinist or a group of violinists there. That's really cool to do. I mean, like 2 years ago, WrestleMania when it was in New York, New Jersey, like that was, they had like a lot of entrances there. Like Ronda Rousey had her with a live band and stuff. Charlotte came in a helicopter. You know, that's probably filmed the night before. Becky Lynch came in a Mack truck or something like that, or whatever it was. Like there was a bunch of cool entrances that year. You know, Triple H usually always gets a cool entrance as well, but he hasn't been around for a while. So yeah, I feel like those would be cool. I think Shinsuke might be one of those ones that could beat it. But I guess we'll have to wait and see when we get cool entrances again. When we have a live, I think they don't want to do it unless you have a live audience. Really, why waste that kind of cool stuff? The money and the production value that you need for it. They can just do the graphics that they do anyway. What's something
makes sense.
But something as simplistic as Drew McIntyre's entrance is really awe-inspiring as well, and it's very simple. Even in the Hurt business, that comes out very much with swagger and power and confidence. That looks cool. Even Sasha Banks, same thing. It echoes the Hurt business as well, because she has that swagger and confidence, and that's what you like to see. And that's kind of like those entrances I love to see as well. If it doesn't have all that production value behind it, at least sell your own entrance, right? You know, so that's what I like to see. Finn Balor as well. When Finn Balor is so cool and calm, and that's another thing that Scott was saying, getting the audience involved. When he does the thing with the lights, like everyone gets involved in that. So, all right, I'm talking about that a lot because maybe this might be the last time we do entrance of the year as well. Because if we don't get a better one by next year, we might have to get rid of this award because it's gonna be the Fiend again. The next award is for the female next gen superstar of the year, and I believe Delicia's covering this.
Yep. So the female next gen superstar of the year award is granted to the female who showcased herself as a top tier performer during the past year or this past season, if you're going in aftermath times. Our first nominee began the year as the NXT Women's Champion and would continue to show that this division is truly her brutality. Of course, I'm talking about Rhea Ripley. Our next nominee, astounded us with her high-flying ability and truly lived up to her nickname as the Genius of the Sky. But it was her leveled up intensity this past season that earned her a spot on this list. And we're talking about Io Shirai. And next is our next superstar or nominee has been in NXT probably for the last year or two. She really debuted proper when she was partner along with Dakota Kai, along at TakeOver at the beginning of last year. That she was really able to shine and truly show us what she was all about. A former tag team champion and now the current NXT Women's Champion, there is no way she could not make it on this list for the Aftermath Awards. And our last nominee is no stranger to the NXT crowd. She is the darling of NXT and has been a favorite since she debuted. Teaming up with her husband to form The Way this past year, the Poison Pixie has made waves in the women's division, whether she was teaming up with Indy Hartwell or taking care of business as a singles competitor in her own right. And I'm always talking about Candice LeRae. Well, those are all four fine women right there who are all worthy of this award, but we only give it to one, and we had to give it to Miss Io Shirai.
Yeah, I really haven't seen much of NXT. When I do watch it, I do see her jump off crazy stuff and doing cool stuff. And I think she's been champion for most of the year until she recently lost it as well. So that's the reason why I voted for her, because I was like, oh yeah, she's been champion like all year. So I figured, she's well deserved, and she does really cool stuff. Other than that, I don't know how her promo work is. I don't know if she's the one that comes out with that like there's like a person sitting on a throne and someone comes out and does cool stuff. That might be she.
No, that's the one.
Whatever. Yeah. Well, sorry.
They could have made it if we added NXT entrances. That could have made entrance of the year because that's a cool entrance.
I mean, I guess we could have used the NXT entrances too. Yeah, that's a cool entrance as well with the samurai or whatever, the Yakuza, whatever that is. That's pretty dope. Yeah. So Io Shirai is pretty cool. Skye, your thoughts on the female next gen superstar?
I was really pulling for Rhea Ripley. I love her work, and I love her in-ring ability. But I also recognize Io Shirai. I think that when she does get moved up to the main roster, she is going to be a force to be reckoned with. I think she'll be able to compete with those higher-ups like Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, and everything like that. And I don't see it being like unbelievable that she'd be able to keep up with them based off of her ability in NXT right now. So sometimes they'll pull up somebody in the main card and have them going up against a big time superstar, and you're like, there's no way. And other times, like this right here, if they were to pull her up to the main card and she was to go up against Charlotte Flair or something like that, and she won or was looking pretty dominant or anything like that, I wouldn't question it and everything. So I'm happy with this.
Yeah, actually, Rhea Ripley won last year's female next gen superstar of the year. So it's kind of like she was kind of teetering because she missed a lot of time and then got called up to the main roster towards the end of our aftermath year. So that's why I feel like Io Shirai showed the most. I would have normally voted for Rhea Ripley, but to be fair, I'm trying to be unbiased and all that. She deserved it because I feel like she, was there the champion like the most of the year. So, but otherwise, Rhea Ripley would have gotten my vote as well.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much the same. Like you said, Rhea kind of got transitioned out of the NXT family, so to speak, to into the main roster while putting over Io and Candice LeRae and Raquel Gonzalez on her way out. So it was kind of like her swan song of putting those three women over before she officially like left. And the other three have been in NXT like the whole year through, putting in the work to really make NXT still its top tier as they could be given the climate that we were all in.
Welcome, Sidewalk. Like I said, Sidewalk's information is down below. He's one of the people who helped vote and create our ballot, so thank you once again for that. All right, our next award is for the male superstar of the year. I believe I'm covering that, right? Yeah. The Male Superstar of the Year award goes to the male superstar that best exemplifies the WWE Universe's passion for the business and work ethic. And our first nominee is Mr. Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley began the year with a successful winning streak, which earned him a title shot against Drew McIntyre. Unfortunately, he lost. After joining the Hurt Business, his success skyrocketed, which included winning the U.S. title. After he lost the U.S. title, he struck a deal with The Miz and then beat him for the WWE Championship, and then successfully defeated against Drew at WrestleMania 37, making him our current WWE Champion. Our second nominee, Mr. Roman Reigns, the head of the table. The COVID pandemic caused Roman Reigns to miss most of the year until his return at SummerSlam. He immediately aligned himself with Paul Heyman, which sparked a monumental run, which included becoming the Universal Champion for the second time. He successfully defended the title against all comers at WrestleMania 37, making him the current Universal Champion. Our third nominee is Edge. After defeating his bitter rival and friend Randy Orton at WrestleMania 36, the two had a rematch at Backlash where Edge lost and tore his tricep. This caused him to miss a bunch of time. He returned to Raw 7 months later and declared his entry into the Royal Rumble, which he entered at number 1 and ended up winning the entire thing. He then declared himself to face... Well, first he defeated Randy Orton the next night and went on to challenge Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 37. However, the scumbag Daniel Bryan interjected himself into the match, and then both ended up losing to Reigns. But go back and watch because Roman Reigns tapped earlier in the match, as well as Edge pinning Daniel Bryan. So I still am disputing that and holding a protest for that. If I had the ability, I'd be sitting in the middle of the Monday Night Raw ring and sitting there until someone allowed Edge, or I guess SmackDown ring, until Edge got another title shot. Or just they give him the title. Our final nominee is Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre began his title reign at WrestleMania 36 and defeated all comers until he lost to Randy Orton in Hell in a Cell. A few weeks later, he regained his title after defeating Orton on Raw. Then he survived the Elimination Chamber, but he was attacked by Bobby Lashley immediately after, which allowed Miz to cash in his Money in the Bank contract. Drew would then go on to challenge Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania, but unfortunately he lost and was not able to reclaim his title. And the winner is Roman Reigns, the head of the table. We'll go to Delisha first on your thoughts for Roman Reigns winning Male Superstar of the Year.
Yeah, this one I think is well deserved versus sometimes when WWE gives him this moniker, since he basically been on the roster. Even though he missed a good part of the year due to not wanting to complicate his health situation, when he came back with a vengeance and a refreshing to his character as a proper heel turn, and he's been dynamite, whether it be in the ring or on the mic when he's given to talk, when he's not letting Paul Heyman do it for him. He's actually showed that he can speak on his own without being scripted to say nonsense. And now when we had the crowd back at WrestleMania, when they were booing him, it was for proper reasons, because he truly was the bad guy in this situation. And I've been really impressed with the work he's been doing this past year.
Yeah, I have to concur with that because he had to leave because of the COVID pandemic and his prior health issues. So he was at high risk for succumbing to the virus. But in the short time he's been back, he's been super dominant. It's good that they put him with Paul Heyman because he gets more heat from that with Paul Heyman's mic skills. But you know what? Roman Reigns has improved his mic game as well. So therefore, in the short time he's been there, he's encapsulated everything we want to see in a good character in the WWE. And that's why I think he garnered this award. Skye, how do you feel about it?
I agree with Delisha. I feel like this is well deserved for Roman Reigns. I was extremely scared when I saw that he was paired with Paul Heyman. Not because I don't like Paul Heyman, but I thought it was going to be another Brock Lesnar in which Paul Heyman was going to be doing all the talking, and Roman Reigns would say one or two words every once in a while and everything. And I didn't want that because one of the problems that he suffered was his mic skills. And I was like, well, it's not going to improve if Paul Heyman is talking for him. So when he took this slow, methodical approach to his talking and wasn't trying to throw out quick quips and everything the way John Cena was or The Miz was and everything, where he was getting tongue-tied and he didn't really know what to do, that kind of made everybody just like, oh my gosh, would he just stop talking, just wrestle or whatever like that. But this slow, methodical approach he takes to his speaking and everything like that, it feels intimidating and everything, like being in the ring with him, the way he's talking to you in your face and everything, and telling you exactly what he's going to do to you and everything like that, you feel intimidated. You feel like, okay, this is a man who's going to be able to back up his words, and this is also a man who is definitely going to show his dominance and everything to the WWE universe and everything. And whether you love him or you hate him, you can't deny that his talking and his mic skills have gotten so much better, and that's literally the only reason why I feel like he deserves this. This right here, the heel turn. It was good and everything. It was expected, obviously, and everything, because he's a big guy, and trying to push him down people's throats to be a face and everything just really wasn't working. So having him be a heel just seemed like it was obviously the only thing they could do with him. But the way they did it, I think, was just amazing. And like I said, pairing him with Paul Heyman just to add that extra heat and everything, it was just genius writing and genius storytelling.
Yeah, and it gives Paul Heyman something to do while Brock Lesnar's away. Though I do see, maybe Brock Lesnar comes back and feuds with Roman Reigns. He could be the guy who beats Roman Reigns. Will Paul Heyman turn on Roman to get, I think Brock would be better as a face for a little bit. And let, Paul Heyman stay with Roman to develop him more, because Brock doesn't really need to be developed anymore. He can work on his mic skills, but he doesn't really need it anymore, right? He's just there once in a while kind of thing. So I feel like if Brock came back to challenge Roman, Paul Heyman shouldn't turn on Roman. Stay with Roman and help him, because Roman's the future, and Brock could just be like, the face for a little bit, because he still had a successful face run as well. So that's something we could see in the future. Our next award is for the pay-per-view of the year, and I believe that's Skye as well.
All right, next up, WWE pay-per-view of the year. Category data 2, of course. Which pay-per-view blew us away? First up, we have WrestleMania 37. What can I say that hasn't already been said? While this was not the perfect example of a pay-per-view, what a pay-per-view should be, the action was nonstop and memorable enough to make this WrestleMania stand out on its own right. Next up is Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble was an unexpected jewel. While there are other meaningful matches on every WWE Royal Rumble pay-per-view card, the Royal Rumble matches themselves are a true highlight of the annual event. In 2021, both the men and women's side featured impressive performances that saw the winners last nearly a full hour before securing their shot at a world title at WrestleMania. Our next nominee is Fastlane. Roman tapped, Apollo Crews' slow transformation, Alexa Bliss slipping further into her Dark Phoenix persona, Drew and Sheamus ripping each other apart. What more could you ask for? Another great pay-per-view showing awesome athleticism and teasing future feuds and transformations. And our final nominee is Survivor Series. Impressive matches all around, from Sasha versus Asuka to Bobby Lashley and the Hurt Business versus Sami Zayn, and even the New Day versus the Street Profits. But the real reason people watch this pay-per-view was for the one reason and one reason alone: Undertaker's send-off ceremony. What was supposed to be a famous night for the legend went down in infamy. Does this mean the pay-per-view itself was bad because of it? That's up to you to decide. And our winner is the Royal Rumble.
I feel the Royal Rumble has won for the second time again, because Royal Rumble is always a solid pay-per-view, so usually our favorite pay-per-view as well. Actually, maybe Money in the Bank. I can't remember what won last year, but Royal Rumble is always solid for us. We always enjoy it. It's one of our favorite pay-per-views. And it not only does the main Royal Rumble, the gimmick match, really sell for everybody, they usually have some solid matches because it's the beginning of the road to WrestleMania. So I definitely do agree with this. Delisha, how do you feel?
I remember to get off mute this time. Yeah, I think the biggest surprise is that Fastlane actually made it as a nominee, because traditionally it is not one of the best pay-per-views of our calendar year, and for the first time ever, it got positive reviews from all of us this past season, and that was a big surprise. But no surprise, the Royal Rumble, it's one of our favorites, as Cal said, and the fact that Edge got to kind of get his Cinderella story, or as he said himself, that even in Hollywood they would say this would never happen type of storyline. It was kind of great to see that, and throughout the whole card, it was just really great. And so, of course, there's no surprise that it would win, because it was one of our tops graded, I believe, probably of our season as well.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned Fastlane because we always joke about how Fastlane's terrible. But I think they did actually moved it, right? Because I don't think was Fastlane always right before WrestleMania. I'm not sure, but WrestleMania the stuff that usually happens prior to WrestleMania is just throwaway matches, kind of like to build story, but nothing really big's gonna happen. But I felt like really, like Skye was saying, a lot of big stuff happened at this Fastlane, and that's why it actually fell on our list of top pay-per-views. Will we ever see Great Balls of Fire on the top pay-per-views? Probably not. But hey, I never thought we'd see Fastlane. Fastlane usually gets an F for me. That's why it starts with an F. So this year, I think I give like an A- or a B+. Like this crazy.
Yeah, I think Fastlane has always been in, or if not right before WrestleMania, in this like section of pay-per-views, because I think they've always touted it as like we're still on the road to WrestleMania.
But I feel like when it first came out though, like it was in July or something, and then they moved it to like be like, oh, it makes sense to be Fastlane to WrestleMania kind of thing. That's why they moved it eventually. But who knows? Maybe our fact check will know better. But yeah. But I really did definitely enjoy Fastlane, but didn't win. Royal Rumble did, which is not lost either. Our next category is Match of the Year, and I believe Alicia's covering this one.
Indeed, I am. So this award is, of course, to celebrate the matches of the year that made us shout, "This is awesome," or maybe not really shout it in our living room if you live in a one-bedroom apartment above neighbors, so you probably weren't shouting as much. But anyway, in my head, we were all shouting, "This is awesome." Our first nominee has had an on-again and on-again BFF relationship since we've known of their existence from their time in NXT. They put their match skills to the test in the dangerous Hell in a Cell with the women's title on the line. It was a hard-hitting match worthy of the ECW chants, minus the blood, because we don't need that in this day and age. Of course, I'm talking about Bayley versus Sasha. There was no way it could not make it on the list, especially when we get to see Sasha get crowned the champion and actually have a run with it. For the past several years, this pay-per-view, as we just mentioned, has always been one of the Aftermath's favorites. It's the first of the big four. We love to wait with a bated breath on who's going to be coming out next once we hear that countdown coming down. And with this year's winner being the ultimate opportunist in the Cinderella story that we just literally just said we thought would never happen, this Royal Rumble was really, truly one for the record books, and we had to make it on our list. And then if you watched the latest Aftermath, you would know that this past WrestleMania had its ups and downs. But this match had most of the crew glued to their seats, most of them, wondering who was going to get the pin. It was very action-packed and full of story that had the nominee had to go to Edge versus Roman versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 37, yeah. And it's not every day that a pay-per-view quality match gets put on one of the weekly shows. But on the June 12th episode of SmackDown, these two superstars put on a technical clinic on what it means to be a wrestler. And so we had to go and give this one of our nominees to Mr. Daniel Bryan versus the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. And the winner is, I don't know if this is a surprise count or win for them, but Bayley versus Sasha in Hell in a Cell. And if Cal, I believe, why do you think this one made it as the winner?
I mean, I think they always put on great matches. They've worked with each other forever and a day, right? So they had one of the best matches. Probably the first match I've ever seen in NXT was their NXT TakeOver match ended with like a Spanish Fly or whatever. That was one of the greatest matches I've ever seen, period. But that was amazing for NXT. That's what got me into NXT and watching them and the women's division at NXT and falling in love with Sasha Banks and all that. And no matter what, these two just don't disappoint. It's like putting two best friends together that wrestle a lot, like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, and just they know each other so well. They trust each other. I mean, I don't know how much you want to trust Sasha because she ends careers. But whatever. Like they've been good together for a long time, so why not? And inside of a Hell in a Cell and the feud that led up to it, it is amazing, and I think they did a great job, a stellar job, and it's one of the best. You can't even just say just a best like a women's Hell in a Cell. It was just one of the best Hell in a Cell matches I've seen, and we've seen great Hell in a Cell matches, right? So this is one of the better ones too. So, Skye, your thoughts on the match of the year?
Honestly, whenever you see two superstars like this going at it and they've worked together for a long time, most of the time you go into it looking at it saying, okay, I know what to expect. I've seen this before, not a big deal. But for Sasha and Bayley, it's always they take it to the next level. I've been following them since NXT and watching them grow there and then come up to the main roster and watching them continue to grow. Yeah, unfortunately, Sasha has a notoriously terrible WrestleMania record and everything, and it sucks because I think that she is an amazing in-ring performer. But it highlights all the time, every single time she's in that ring. So having her go up against Bayley, obviously, no matter what, you're going to see something amazing happen. And of course, there was nothing short of amazingness that happened within that match. And it's one of those matches that you can look at again and not get bored by it and everything. Because like I said, it's just awesome to watch them work together. And I think that if they had another match later on down the road, it would be just as impressive, if not more so, because that's just how those two work.
And I do have to say something for Entertain mentioned that the pay-per-views are very strong this year. What I have to say has to do with this award and our previous award, pay-per-view of the year. So match of the year, pay-per-view. They had great pay-per-views this year. They had a lot of great matches here. Think about how hard that is. When the wrestlers feed off an audience, right? They feed off the reaction of an audience. So they lack that for the entire pretty much AfterMat year, right? Besides the WrestleMania 37, they lacked a live audience for the entire year. So the fact that they had all these amazing pay-per-views, a lot of it had to do with production value as well as doing transformations and pre-tape matches and stuff. That's okay, but the way these wrestlers put on matches without having an audience there, that is also a testament to their skill as well. So that's something we had to note. And welcome Willow Firefox. Willow Firefox, like I said, he helped out voting for the nominees as well as casting in the votes in the ballot. And you can check out his information below. Thank you for joining us, Will. So yeah, I have to say both of them, both these past two categories are real testaments to the workers we have in the business as well as the creative minds. We like to complain about how creative goes sometimes, but they did put on some great pay-per-views this year and great matches as well. So we have to get to them for that. Our next award, category is Feud of the Year, which is basically which group of wrestlers or two wrestlers or audience and wrestlers had the best kind of divisive nature or combative nature with each other. And our first nominee is Bayley and Sasha, we just talked about. A rivalry that spent many years in several brands, the feud between Bayley and Sasha is epic to say the least. Their latest feud began after losing a rematch for the recently lost women's tag team titles. After the loss, Bayley blamed Sasha and began attacking her. This resulted in a series of matches that culminated at a Hell in a Cell where Sasha defeated Bayley, ending her historic reign. Bayley exercised her rematch clause on SmackDown, however, Sasha defeated her once again, making it, and here's something that Skye was noting about WrestleMania, but not only WrestleMania, Sasha has never successfully defended her championship until this point when she defeated Bayley at that SmackDown. So this was Sasha's first successful title defense on the main roster. Our second nominee is Kevin Owens versus Roman Reigns. This feud began when the head of the table felt disrespected by Owens. They shared many moments over the course of a few months that were accentuated by two title matches. One at TLC in a TLC match, and one at Royal Rumble in a last man standing match. Both were won by Roman Reigns. But go back to those aftermaths and see what I had to say about those, because there was a lot of sloppiness in those. Our third nominee is Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre. Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre's feud bookended the AfterMat year. It began at Backlash where Lashley failed to defeat McIntyre. However, Bobby was able to successfully defend his championship against Drew at WrestleMania 37 after winning on Raw a few weeks prior. Our final nominee is Edge versus Randy Orton. Edge and Randy Orton's feud expanded over the course of the AfterMat year. However, it was interrupted by injury. The two fought in a hellish match at WrestleMania 36, and the rivalry continued to the greatest match ever at Backlash. The feud finally ended after Edge won the 2021 Royal Rumble and then defeated Orton the following night. And the winner is Sasha and Bayley. That's two in a row for them. Do we see a trend coming? Who knows? But yeah, well deserved. Like we said, like what I was saying about previous for their match of the year is that these two work very well together from NXT through now. I think all of us have been saying this, resonating this point. So why not? Like this has been a year for the ladies, and they've been like very, very, very good. The last time we saw ladies as successful was when we saw, Becky the Man, which I always say I hate that nickname for her. If you're trying to bring up the women's division, why you be called the Man? That's so stupid. Anyway, these two together have been amazing. I enjoyed watching them so much, and it's been great. Skye, your thoughts?
I think everybody was like doing a mental countdown as to when this was actually going to happen. When they were, teaming up and everything like that, it was like they were both heels. They both were trying to vie for dominance and everything to see who was better. So it was like, when is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? And when it finally did happen, it impressed, obviously. Like you just said, what more can be said? We literally just talked about them with the last category, and now we're talking about them in this category, and it is for good reason. If they have won 2 categories, I mean, what else can be said? Obviously, they have shown their skills inside of that ring and outside of that ring, and I love both of them as individuals, and I actually like them as a tag team and everything, but their feud was just epic. Like I said, again, we all was counting down, waiting for it to happen, and when it did happen, it did not disappoint.
And Delisha, I know you're big fans of these. You've been following them since NXT, just like Skye has. How did you feel when you finally saw their, they get the tag team titles, they lose the tag team titles, they get the tag team titles, they lose them, and now they culminate in a match at Hell in a Cell, which is one of the best Hell in a Cell matches I've seen.
Yeah, it was really kind of like a thank goodness that they were getting this right, because much like with Sasha, they seem to always be like up and down with Bayley on her Raw and SmackDown tenures of like almost kind of like, what do we do with them? Or it's like, using them as like a fail shoots for when things go wrong. It's like, just do Sasha and Bayley, the fans would love that. But this year, they really got it right. I think they pulled the plug on them as friends at the right time, and to culminate with Sasha finally getting her time with the SmackDown Women's Belt, and they pretty much carried the SmackDown the roster or shows until almost for a big chunk of the year until we got into the Roman Reigns programming with that. But these two really took the show on their back and was like, all right, we're gonna still make this must-watch immense what's going on around us, and I really applaud them for that. And like we said, whatever they're going to be put into, they're going to put in good work. And this latest feud of theirs, because it's like the third or fourth one, really, I think outside of NXT, really is they aced it.
Definitely. It was great to see them come back and finally see get their due, right? And they both had long reigns. I mean, for Sasha Banks, that was long, right? But I think Bayley's lasted almost a year, or maybe over a year. That brings us to our next category, which is a very special category. It is our Beverly Monroe Female Superstar of the Year. And who better to present that award than the award dedicated to his mother, the Hitman himself, Mr. Eric Monroe. Welcome back, Eric.
Thank you. So happy to be here. Again, honored that you made this an award. It means a lot to me.
Of course, man. You're always, like I said, part of our family, and it's great to have you. So would you like to tell us about the Female Superstar of the Year?
I absolutely would. You're going to lose me on video for a little, but it's okay. So, the first nominee we have is Bayley. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Bayley's momentous year began when she was drafted to SmackDown. She made quick work in the division by winning Money in the Bank and cashing in to win the SmackDown's Women's Championship. She added another title by winning the Women's Tag Team Championship for the second time with Sasha Banks. Her luck finally came to an end as she lost her Tag Team title and SmackDown title only a few months apart. Our second nominee is Sasha Banks. Sasha's year started much like her best friend Bayley's. However, she remained on the Raw roster. She won the Women's Tag Team title with Bayley for the second time. She added to her gold count by winning the Raw Women's Championship. as well. After losing the tag team titles and her best friend, she began a feud with her former friend, which resulted in Banks becoming SmackDown Women's Champion. Her year ended with a main event match against Bianca Belair at WrestleMania 37. Our third nominee is Asuka. The Empress of Tomorrow became Miss Money in the Bank, but this did not contain a contract, rather the Raw Women's Championship itself. Asuka held title until she lost it questionably to Sasha Banks. Fortunately, she was able to exact revenge at SummerSlam, where she got to vie for both the SmackDown and Raw Women's Championships on the same night. Unfortunately, she lost to Bayley, but reclaimed the Raw title from Banks. Asuka held the title until WrestleMania, losing it to Rhea Ripley. Our fourth nominee is Bianca Belair, the EST of the women's division, probably had the most successful year of any woman in the sport in a year. After a slow start, Bianca's fortune turned after she was drafted to SmackDown. She put on an impressive showing at Survivor Series and carried the momentum to Royal Rumble. Belair entered at number 3 and ended up winning and setting a record of 56 minutes in the match. Belair's year culminated in defeating Sasha Banks and becoming the SmackDown Women's Champion at WrestleMania 37, also making history as the first main event headlined by 2 African American women. And the winner is, let me come back. The winner is Janice Baratheon. No, just kidding. It is Sasha Banks. Congratulations, Sasha.
Yeah, Sasha, like, this is like pretty much 3 awards in a row for Sasha. I don't think this ever happened in AfterMat history. But, yeah, she, like, as much as we give crap for Sasha, like, of the years she's had in the past, I think she's finally getting her due this year. It's well-deserved. And like Leisha said, her and Bayley have carried the not only the women's division, but even the show on their backs for the past year over the pandemic for SmackDown. So I think they did a great job. Delisha, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, as I just put it in the chat, like the ladies are killing it this award season. Yeah, I feel like they like I just said from the last award, they kind of carried their brand on their backs to make their show as great as they could, while amidst no crowd, none of the pop and circumstances they're used to. And I feel like while the rest, all the ladies here on this list are champions, even though Bianca's the newest one, they, like I said, Sasha and Bayley, where Sasha really, made it her own, as she is tend to do, whatever brand she's happened to be on or show. She made it her own and made her the must-watch women of the roster on all 3 brands.
Skye, you feel that she finally got her comeuppance?
No, I don't feel like that she finally got. She needs a WrestleMania win.
Yeah.
However, I do feel like Sasha Banks definitely deserves this category. I've always loved her as a performer. I love her as a heel. I love her as a face too. She can play both very well, and honestly, I really just enjoyed her run this year. Obviously, it speaks for itself. She's won 3 categories at this AfterMat Awards and everything, and I feel like she deserves it. Honestly, besides, like you said, she ends careers and everything, but besides all of that, I think that she's great in the ring. She's a safe worker. A lot of people like working with her, and it's from what I could tell and everything, she's very popular in the back too. She used to have a lot of heat, but I think she's calmed down, and a lot of people have gravitated towards her as being one of the leaders in the locker room in the women's division, and it shows, especially from those that are coming up like Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair and everything, who are very close with her and trying their best to, I guess, keep up with her and everything. And also, welcome back, Eric. I know you've. I was, I think, when I first started, came to Cal's channel, and he was doing the AfterMat Awards, and I was like, what the heck is this? And because I had no idea what was going on. It went from, because that was back when you had your show for, what was it, Cal? Game of Thrones. And then you was also playing Monster Hunter World and other games. And then this came on. I'm like, this dude is doing way too much and everything. And then, like, I saw, I had always loved your commentary. and everything like that. So seeing you back up here, I know that means a lot to the AfterMat community and everything to see you back. So welcome back.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, and thank you for still being part of the show, allowing us to, honor your mother, because I know that was a huge thing, and we're, you always have a spot here whenever you want to come back. If there's any pay-per-view you want to cover with us, you let us know, and you always have a spot here. And you can always find the original merchandise with Eric's face on it as the Hitman in the comments section below or description below.
Made by Janine.
Yep, by Janine.
The next After Talk, how Stannis Baratheon would have made it in WWE.
Yes.
And I liked your little Stannis stuff your last show. That was good.
Yeah, I had to give a shout out. It was harbinger for you to call you out. You know how they do those little promos and they have a little thing where like you call somebody out, like they call it The Rock or something, and then he comes out for the next pay-per-view. It was like that.
It's awesome.
Eric, do you have anything to promote before you head out?
Nah, you can find me, of course, on Twitter at mmkoch200, and just let me know what you think there.
Yep, and hopefully, are you going to be doing a Ours is the Fury when?
I don't know if I will be doing that, but if you do if you do a show, I will definitely be attending every week.
All right, yeah, we still got a year, so.
Yeah, 2022, I think they said is when.
Yeah, so we'll see. We got time. Who knows what will happen? But thank you for joining us, Eric. Thank you so much for still being part of the family and the community.
Love you guys.
And
pleasure, Skye, pleasure, Delisha.
Love you.
Love you guys. Bye.
All right. That brings us to our next award, which is Tag Team of the Year, and I believe is Skye covering this one? Skye, are you covering this one? Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I'm covering this one. Next up is Tag Team of the Year, category dedicated to showcasing those tag teams we love to see in action in and out of the ring. Our first nominee is, no surprise, Bayley and Sasha. This, of course, is not the first time we have seen these two team up, with Bayley's new heel persona and Sasha also being a heel. It made for an interesting team. They dominated the women's division, and rightfully so. Individually, both superstars are extremely impressive, but together, they showed they could not only coexist as heels, but also get the job done in the ring. Our second nominee goes to the Street Profits. The Street Profits came in onto the scene relatively quietly. Though they were an impressive tag team in NXT, their run initially on the WWE main roster seemed to be a lackluster one until it wasn't. What started out as a seemingly joke team became a force to be reckoned with, winning the titles from Rollins and Murphy, and went on to successfully defend their titles until being drafted to SmackDown, in which they traded titles with the New Day, making them the second team to hold the WWE Tag Team Triple Crown. Our third nominee goes to Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. What can I say? They needed each other, and boy, they have impressed a lot with their dominance. Your current women's WWE Women's Tag Team Champions as of right now, and not showing many signs of weakness between them. Nia with her intimidating size and Shayna with her MMA background. Is there anyone who can defeat this team? Who knows? But it hasn't happened yet. And last but not least, we have Miz and Morrison. The reunion of this tag team was both unexpected and awesome. While both individuals shine as individuals, as a tag team, they steal the show, and for good reason. Both are great on the mic, and contrary to popular belief, both the men are amazing in-ring talents. On January 31st episode of SmackDown, the duo teamed together for the first time in nearly 11 years, defeating Heavy Machinery, Lucha House Party, and The Revival in a fatal four-way tag team match, thus earning an opportunity to face the New Day for the SmackDown Tag Team Champion at Super Showdown, winning the titles on February 27th. And the winner is Bayley and Sasha.
Yeah, I mean, that's 4 in a row for them, pretty much, except, Sasha got the one award, but still, pretty much Bayley's compliments her in that category. So, like I said, they've been killing it this year. They really deserve it. They put that brand on their back, and they've entertained like no one else. And I'm so glad that they are being honored by this show, because they definitely deserve it. Despite their antics after WrestleMania 30, was it 5? Yeah, 35 it was, maybe. Losing their tag team titles. That was pretty awful. But other than that, like, they've really grown and matured, like I was saying, since then, and really developed their characters as well and meshed really well together. So seeing them win this as well, 4 awards in a row pretty much, it is fantastic to see. Delisha, your thoughts on them?
Yeah, I think all the nominees, as far as tag teams go, really, deserve to be there. But we've been talking basically all night long about Bailey and Sasha and how just great they've been as a unit and separately. That I don't think it's a surprise that we would give this award to them. I do, yeah, I do like that Nia Jax and Shayna have been like the dominant team of all the teams. Actually, they've been the one to really keep their titles the whole season through. And while Miz and Morrison has been more of the comedic team that we all love, and then Street Profits have been also on the other brand, but also being the team in the ring that can also get it done. So I feel like they all fit the nominee narrative of being the tag team of the year. But we have to give it to our girls, Sasha and Bailey.
Yeah, and with that win, I think Sasha Banks breaks Becky Lynch's record of AfterMat awards in a single year. And this is also the first year that I think no, actually, Usos didn't win last year either. But the Usos were always the tag team of the year the first 2 years, and then I think Bliss Cross Applesauce won last year or whatever.
We've had no Usos.
Yeah, so that's true. We had no. I guess that's why they
We had
won.
an Us. We just had an Us. There was no.
But now, yeah, so Sasha Banks now holds the record for AfterMat awards in a single year, beating Becky Lynch. So that's pretty impressive. All right, our next category is Male Next Gen Superstar of the Year, and that is going to Delisha.
Yep. So much like the women, the Male Next Gen Superstar of the Year is to showcase the men who rose above the rest in this past NXT yearly season. Our first nominee has been making waves since he debuted back in 2017 and has not looked back. The Panama City Playboy, as he's affectionately called by the commentators, which was an old nickname of his own in the scene, along with the Undisputed Era, have been the top dogs of NXT since they arrived. He's a multiple-time NXT and Tag Team Champion, and this past year, he has shown no signs of stopping down, of being the man or the face of NXT. Speaking of the Undisputed Era, oh, sorry, that was Adam Cole, by the way. Speaking of the Undisputed Era, our next nominee reminded the world of why he isn't just a sidekick to said Adam Cole and the rest of the gang. With a match of the year versus Finn Balor, Kyle O'Reilly has been we take him serious as a singles competitor, and again, showcasing as we transition into the 2021 upcoming season, showing no sign of slowing down, and is ready to make a name for himself on the NXT roster. Our next nominee, you can't even think of NXT without mentioning him. He's called Mr. Takeover for a reason, for he's always putting on a stellar performance no matter who he's in the ring with. And for this, I'm obviously talking about Mr. Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Gargano, who's had a stellar year revamping his character and forming the way with his wife, Candice. And our last nominee shocked the universe, the WWE universe that is, when he returned to the Black and Gold brand back in 2019. He would feud basically with everyone on our list for the past year and a half and continue to show why he doesn't watch the business. The business watches him. Of course, I'm talking about the Prince himself, Mr. Finn Balor. And our winner for our Male Next Gen Superstar of the Year is going to said Prince, Mr. Finn Balor. And Skye, what do you think about our nominees and our eventual winner of this category?
I think all the nominees deserve to be on there. Every single one of them have put on impressive performances within NXT. And I think a lot of people kind of sleep on NXT because they're expecting it not to be as good as the main roster and as good as the main brand and everything. But I started watching NXT officially, I want to say about 3 years ago. 3 years ago. And I went back and I watched all the episodes before that and everything, leading all the way up to the most current and everything. And looking at these superstars now, I can definitely say that they are extremely impressive. And as far as Finn Balor, I mean, come on now. This dude is amazing. You're right. Everybody watches him. This dude is great. I love to see him in the ring. Whether he's doing regular Finn Balor or whether he's doing his demon persona, it's always entertaining. And Finn Balor deserves this win, honestly. I feel like there's no other person that works harder than him in the ring and in and out of the ring, really. So, yeah, this is well-deserved for him.
I have to disagree with this because I felt like I think I might have voted for Finn Balor. I'm not sure, but I really think actually no, I don't think I did. I think I voted for Adam Cole because I feel Adam Cole really rocked this year. Like he was amazing. Whether it's, I think he did feud with Finn Balor. He also feuded with Kyle O'Reilly as well, which was amazing with the breakup and like every other member pretty much of Undisputed Era when they broke up. I think he damn near carried. I think that's Finn Balor had to step away for a little bit for injury maybe. If I'm correct, I think much like Sasha Banks and Bayley carried the SmackDown roster. I feel like Adam Cole carried the NXT roster for the entire AfterMat year. So I felt like Adam Cole deserved this award. Where do I see it going next year? Maybe I think Kyle O'Reilly's probably gonna win this next year because watching him, he's really emerged as the star of Undisputed Era. Because Adam Cole's kind of getting past that now. Kyle O'Reilly has really thrived in it. He's taken like all the energy from the universe, WWE universe, and like that while he's in Undisputed Era, like a bomb just ready to explode, and boom, he exploded towards the end of our AfterMat year, and he's been amazing in the last few pay-per-views that I didn't even watch, but I heard a lot about it, and I see how much tenacity he puts on at NXT. So I really feel that this year Adam Cole should have won it, but like I can't take anything from Finn Balor. I love Finn Balor, but I just think for the longevity or this current year of AfterMat year, I think Adam Cole should have won it, and I think next year I think Kyle O'Reilly's gonna be the top contender for this. It's gonna be Kyle O'Reilly's award to lose. So if you're hearing that now, Kyle O'Reilly, if you're watching AfterMat right now, it's your award to lose for next year. So that's how I feel.
Yeah, he's definitely on the watch list of Superstar of the Year for sure. So, I'm kind of hoping there's a few others who kind of make it on our list if they get the right push. Looking at you, Bruiserweight. But yeah, I'm actually really excited to see. I'm actually excited again for wrestling in general this year. So WWE, don't let us down, please.
Yeah. So the NXT men have been killing it. I feel like have been doing really, really well. Where the women are shining on the main roster, I feel that NXT considered main roster. Not to think anything for the NXT women, but I think the men this year have really carried the brand for the NXT. Brand.
Yeah, I will say one thing for the women, as a lot of times, like in the past couple of years, when we had that transition period of those who got called up for Raw or SmackDown, and you kind of get left with this like, ooh, what are we gonna do with the NXT Women's division now? But like this current season, like there's so much going on, and we now have women tag teams, so they can kind of like do a little bit more with the women as well. But it's actually pretty stacked. To where you don't even know, you kind of can't even tell like who's gonna get pushed and who's not. So it's again another reason why like NXT is really shining with a lot of the WWE audience, because they still have their like, it's kind of independent feeling, but with like main television grandeur. That mixture of the two, they can blend it so well. And I really think like this year they might be coming back on the uprise as being the dominant brand.
That brings us to our next category of Champion of the Year, which is the award that's given to the WWE superstar that best exemplifies the championship persona throughout the AfterMat year. Our first nominee... Oops, let me change the picture for you guys. Our first nominee is Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns won his second Universal title at Payback after defeating The Fiend and Braun Strowman in a triple threat no-holds-barred match. He's still the champion after multiple successful defenses throughout the year. Our second nominee is Drew McIntyre. Drew had two different WWE title reigns over the course of the year following WrestleMania 36. His first run lasted 203 days, which ended by Randy Orton. After reclaiming his title from Orton, his second reign lasted 97 days, losing it to The Miz. Our third nominee is Asuka. Asuka inherited the Raw Women's Championship after winning the Money in the Bank contract, making her the second Women's Grand Slam winner and third Women's Triple Crown winner. She eventually went on to lose the title to Sasha Banks, but won it back from Banks at SummerSlam. Asuka added to her goal by winning the Women's Tag Team Championships alongside Charlotte Flair at TLC. Asuka then lost the Tag Team titles at Royal Rumble and then lost her Raw Women's Championship at WrestleMania 37 to Rhea Ripley. Our fourth nominee is Bayley. Bayley began the AfterMat year holding the SmackDown Championship for over 150 days already, and her successful reign continued long after. She added to her collection by becoming a double champion alongside her best friend Sasha Banks as the Women's Tag Team Champions. She eventually lost the tag team titles to Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler at Payback, and eventually went on to lose her SmackDown Championship to her former best friend and partner, Sasha Banks, at Hell in a Cell after a 380-day reign. And the winner is Roman Reigns. This one I was kind of torn about as well, because I felt like Roman Reigns, much deserved. I feel like maybe Bayley probably deserved it more, like I said, or we've been saying all night. The women really carried SmackDown. Like, I think the women carried SmackDown and Roman elevated it. You know, like, they held it there and then he just brought it up a little bit more. So it is well deserved for him, but I think it's more deserved by Bayley, because she was champion for 380 days. That's over a calendar year for us. And she really personified the champion of the heel champion, being both the double champion as well. So I think I cast my vote for Bayley for this one. But I can't remember how the vote ended up, but I do feel that I think actually I was the only one who voted for Bayley. Now looking at it, I was the only one I think who voted for Bayley. So yeah, and Roman Reigns won by a majority. But I feel like if we're able to speak our points, maybe Bayley might have done better. But it's I'm not saying it's not deserved for Roman Reigns, but I think Bayley deserved it more. What about you, Delisha?
Yeah, I think with Bayley or the kicker of why Reigns probably got the vote would be that it was such a shock that they let him be written as a heel, when, as we've been saying for the last maybe 8 years, turn Roman heel, and they're like, oh, they're not going to do it. That's like turning John Cena heel. They're not going to do it. And then they actually did it, and they did it well. Whereas at this point in time, we were now used to Bayley being the heel that she was. It wasn't as a shocker as it was when she eventually did turn heel. Whether it be, I think it was earlier in the year of that, or late 2019, no, earlier in 2020. And after her loss at Hell, she kind of filtered away just a little bit. She was still there, but she didn't have the presence that she had throughout the rest of the year. So I think with that and the transition of like Reigns coming back as the face of the company, it kind of shifted him more to the forefront, to where Bayley kind of got written out of the picture, and therefore it was like transition to the back of our minds that while yes, we can acknowledge she was still great, it was still Roman Reigns who kind of had that breakout as champion, and as being, I mean, yes, Bayley was also dominant, but I think we've even said it on AfterMat previous shows that we can't even remember outside of Bayley who she was kind of feuding with throughout the time period. Whereas Roman Reigns, we could kind of like lay out some of his feuds and matches that were pretty great in this calendar season. So those are kind of my thoughts, because those were the two that I was going back and forth with as well. With kind of like, it was like Reigns and then Drew and Bayley, kind of like all vying for my vote, because Drew also had a phenomenal year of carrying the Raw brand on his back as champion. So this one kind of might have been the hardest one for me to kind of pick on.
What about you, Skye?
I agree with Delisha in the sense of both of them, both Bayley and Roman Reigns had that heel turn. I do feel as though Bayley's was unexpected, at least from my end anyway. And when it happened, it was just like, because I didn't think they would. She was the hugger. She was the nice one, all that good stuff and everything. And then she cut off that stupid sideways ponytail and became a heel. And I was thinking to myself, wow, this is the Bayley that I want to see. This is the Bayley that we deserve. She became more dominant in the ring. She didn't really care. She wasn't worried about friendships or none of that. She had a goal, and she was going to do whatever she had to do to accomplish that goal. And I really enjoyed that. Roman Reigns, however, again, it was very surprising to kind of see heels, because this is a man who was universally loathed within the WWE universe and everything, because of the fact that WWE kept trying to force him down everybody's throat. And then he went away to deal with his cancer. And then when he came back, he was welcomed back with open arms. All of a sudden, everybody loved him. Then the COVID, thing happened, and He had to go away again. So when they was talking about him making a return, everybody figured he was coming back to his, normal, face thing, since it seemed as though the WWE universe was now accepting of him and everything like that, all that good stuff. But he came back as a heel, and holy crap, it was amazing to see. Not only was he paired with Paul Heyman, but he had this feud out the gate and everything, trying to show that he was the dominant one, that he was the head of the table, even going as far as to beat down his own cousin and everything, to make him join his side and everything, to realize that he's the head of the acknowledge me. And I loved it so much because it was real. It was authentic. To me, it felt like not only are they family, in real life, it's not just a storyline gimmick. They are cousins in real life and everything. So this, to me, it just felt visceral, and I think that's why I loved it so much, because this Roman Reigns, again, as I said before, this Roman Reigns was intimidating. This Roman Reigns wanted that acknowledgement, and he was going to do whatever he had to do to make you acknowledge him. He was all about that respect, and if you came at him and you disrespected him or disrespected his name or his family, he was going to come at you and everything, and I loved it, and I felt like as a champion, yeah, you either love him or you hate him, and I think that's what really kind of makes a champion, especially as a heel. If you can just look at this person and just hate them, hate their presence, as soon as you hear their entrance music, you're just like, oh my God, this guy and everything like that. You just love to hate him. That's how you know you have a good character, and you're not hating Roman Reigns because he's giving off stupid one-liners, or you're not hating him because he's feuding with Braun Strowman for the 5th time and everything. No, you're hating him because this man has the title and he is talking so much crap, and he's going to back it up some way or another, whether he dominates you in the ring or somehow or another he gets lucky because there's a distraction or whatever the case may be. This man is holding that title and seemingly not going to be getting rid of it anytime soon. So for me, yeah, I really agree with this vote. I think that he deserves this.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with that, but I feel for the champion aspect, I feel like, I don't know, Bayley was like just the champion longer and better, and like she had 2 championships. That's the only reason why I feel that way. But yeah, you make good points. Both of you guys do. Our next award is the Next Gen Tag Team of the Year, and I believe Skye is covering this one.
Yes, I am. Up next, we have the Next Gen Tag Team of the Year, a category showing some love to those Next Gen stars destined for greatness within the WWE. Our first nominee is MSK. Since debuting in NXT back in January 2021, MSK have taken a tag team division by storm. Wesley and Nash Carter have defeated everyone they have faced so far, and they have won the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic and then NXT Tag Team Championship after only 3 months on TV, and they are indeed the current reigning tag team champions. Next up, we have Grizzled Young Veterans, consisting of James Drake and Zach Gibson. This heel tag team has been dominating the scene both in the UK and stateside since 2017, winning titles in both the UK and the US. This tag team is no stranger to fighting and defeating opponents any and everywhere. Next up, we have Imperium, consisting of Walter, Marcel Barthel, Fabian Eichner, and Alexander Wolf, with Walter being the current NXT UK champion in his first reign. This heel faction has been showing dominance since 2019. Individually, they have held titles all throughout their wrestling careers, and after finally landing in the WWE, they have continued that trend of taking titles and challenging whoever they see fit. And finally, we have Breezango. Breezango is that tag team that is making wrestling fun again. With their flashy moves and over-the-top antics, it's a wonder why this wasn't a thing from the very beginning. Of course, with their antics that comes and a tag team that works very great with one another in the ring, providing to many surprised onlookers that they can be a force to be reckoned with within the ring. And the winner goes to Breezango.
Yeah. Before I give my thoughts on that, I would say welcome to Big Time. Like I mentioned earlier, Big Time was the man who helped break the ties in our tiebreakers. So thank you for that, Big Time. And you can find his information down below in the description. Okay, for this award, all I'm going to say is the only tag team I knew here was Breezango. Therefore, I voted for them. And, yeah. Delisha. I've heard of the other ones. Actually, I had no idea what the hell an MSK was. I thought that was Mustache Mountain, but I guess it wasn't.
They're fairly new, so
Okay.
okay.
I've heard of Imperium, obviously. They're awesome. They're pretty cool, but I've never seen them wrestle. I've heard of the Grizzled Dome Veterans, heard of them, never seen them wrestle. But I knew Brazango, so I voted for them.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I feel like this one might have been impacted the most by COVID, of our list, I should say. Because with Imperium and Grizzly Young Veterans, a lot of them, they're based in the UK, so a lot of their travel was restricted. I'm just going to be full disclosure. I totally voted for Grizzly Young Veterans because they are a phenomenal team. They really started out the year strong. While they were in the Dusty Rhodes Classic, while they didn't win it, they showed like just how great as a tag team they are. And Zach Gibson on the mic is just pure like chef's kiss because he's just so entertaining. Like you just want to boo this man to just make him shut up. As far as Breezango, I love them. Like they are, like you said, they're one of the most entertaining teams on the NXT roster. Probably one of the most entertaining teams of all three brands, or of all the brands on that we get on our television screen. That the only thing I could remember them doing was they won the titles and then they lost them, and that's all I remembered from them from this year. And then the small feud they kind of had with Pat McAfee and his crew for like two weeks. But honestly, all these teams really are deserving. They're all really good, so I can't really be mad at any of them. But I just would have said my vote was towards GYV. Just saying.
Yeah, big time agrees with you there, goals along with MSK. But too bad I didn't know any of them, so I voted for the group I knew, and that's what happened. So it wasn't. I think it was like, let me just look.
Start watching NXT.
I do watch it in fast forward.
Oh.
And if I don't see people I like, I'm like, all right, time to go. Basically, I just watch Undisputed Era. When Rhea Ripley was there, I watched Rhea Ripley. That's pretty much it.
You're missing some quality wrestling, sir.
Oh, Finn Balor.
Yeah, I love the reason I started watching NXT was because I loved the send-off ceremonies that they had whenever a superstar would be called up to the main roster. It was always like graduating from college or from high school or something. Like you go through all that stuff and everything, and then you finally get to that moment and everything in which not only do they acknowledge your skills, but they do it in a grandiose way. I remember when it happened to Asuka. I remember when it happened to Bayley. I remember what happened to Sasha Banks and everything. And those are all heartfelt moments to kind of see them all get called up and everything, knowing that you worked really hard within NXT and everything, and then finally you get acknowledged for your hard work and get, it's really cool. That's why I started watching NXT, honestly.
Maybe I'll just stop watching it fast forward, but maybe not. Our next category is Moment of the Year. The Moment of the Year award goes to the moment that makes the WWE Universe scream, "Holy shit, you deserve it," or "Yes, yes, yes," or "No, no, no," or Miz and Morrison, "Hey, hey, ho, ho, hey, hey, ho, ho." Our first nominee goes to Edge winning the Royal Rumble. After returning from a triceps injury, Edge declared himself for the Royal Rumble, where he entered number 1 and won the match, lasting almost an hour. Our second nominee goes to The Man Becomes the Mom. On the Monday Night Raw following Money in the Bank pay-per-view, Becky Lynch relinquished the Raw Women's Championship to Asuka, proclaiming, "You go be a warrior, and I'll go be a mother." Our third nominee goes to Roman's return. Roman returned to SummerSlam after taking time off due to health concerns with his previous health issues and COVID pandemic. He made an immediate statement by attacking The Fiend and Kevin Owens after the Universal Championship match. And our final nominee is the WWE Universe is back. For the first time in over a year, the WWE Universe was able to witness a pay-per-view in person as it returned at a limited capacity for WrestleMania 37. And the award goes to Edge winning the Royal Rumble, the Rated R Superstar coming out on top. We're going to go to Skye first for this. What are your thoughts on this?
I really wanted this to go to the Becky Lynch moment. I thought that was just, it was so heartfelt. I had a tear in my eye from it because the reaction was genuine from Asuka, and Asuka being a mom as well. I know that, obviously touched her knowing this and everything, and it was completely unscripted and it was unexpected. So to see that natural reaction was just amazing. However, Edge winning was just awesome. I loved seeing him come back. He was one of my favorite superstars back in the day and everything. To see this happen, it was just awesome. I remember you and I were talking. I think we were on PlayStation Network when it happened, Cal. And you had called it because you were like, I think, who was it that was? I think Randy Orton had rolled out of the ring, and he was like, I bet you Randy Orton's going to come in and steal it. Randy Orton's going to come in and steal it. And everything. We were just talking about it. It was so funny and everything, but to see him win it, it was well-deserved. And I hope to see more of that and everything. So, yeah, I do feel like this was a great moment.
Yeah, for me, I do also agree with you. I voted for the Becky Lynch moment because I thought that was, like you said, a heartfelt moment. I think it would have been a lot more to me had it not been ruined by someone else, Will Firefox, while we're currently filming. We're actually filming our Money in the Bank AfterMat, and Will comes in and goes, "Oh, Becky's no longer champion. She's pregnant. She gave it to Asuka," in the chat in like all caps. I'm like, wow, well, I do stop to watch Becky and Asuka, so there goes my fast forward. Like, if it happened live for me, I probably would have been like so much more into it. But I was already into that, even though it was already spoiled for me. I was really into that moment, so I did vote for that. This was actually one of the ties that was broken because I think it went 3-3 for Edge and 3 for Becky's moment, and that was one of the ties that was broken. Delisha, your thoughts?
Yeah, this was another category that was a little hard for me because I feel like all of these moments were just so great. But the emotionality of Becky and Edge, is just they were probably the top two. But yeah, if I remember correctly, I think it might have been Edge coming back at the Rumble that won last year, maybe. That sounds like that would be right. So it's almost kind of fitting him winning the Royal Rumble this year. It's kind of like the bookends of those moments of the year. And as we've said earlier in the award ceremony, that is the Cinderella story that can only happen in WWE, because sometimes things like this just doesn't happen in a lot of sports when you're faced with a debilitating injury that can, quite frankly, paralyze you or end your life. But to able, with new medical technology, be able to not only get yourself back into ring shape or just everyday shape, but to come back and be able to still go at the point, if not even better than when you were 10 years ago. That's almost unheard of. And so I really do think that with the slight edge, maybe pun intended, it to go to Edge, where we still get a lot of Becky to come. And I don't think she's going to be reduced to anything else but her greatness of how she left. And when she returns, that may be the moment of the year for next year. Who knows? Because we're gonna be like, yes, it's back. So, I'm excited to see what's to come of all these actual moments. We got the return of the live audience once, but now when we get the return of the live audience consistently, we'll know we're back on the right track. And Roman Reigns is gonna. That was a great return. And another emotional. All these were very emotional. But I guess that's what makes the moment of the year. But Roman's continue to be great, and we get to just continue to see him do his thing. Whereas, okay, I almost said you can only win the Rumble once, but that's not true. But I only see a moment like this for Edge once in a lifetime opportunity, and he is the ultimate opportunity, so it's fitting that he won.
We talk about how it bookended his year because he left for injury, but we can't forget that someone did get injured and ended up winning the same night. And this was actually more real than this happens, because you're saying it doesn't happen too often in sports. Let's not forget the Olympic gold medalist himself, Kurt Angle, winning the gold medal with a broken freaking neck the same night. So that was crazy. Our final award of the year, of the evening, is the Superstar of the Year, and that's going to be covered by Delisha.
Yes. So, Superstar of the Year, of course, is the award given to not just a woman or a male, but the one who shines throughout everyone else on our roster, and who to be able to earn this award or the top moniker of the Superstar of the year. And we talked about all these people a bunch already, so I'm just kind of just go through them fairly quickly. Our nominees were or are the role model herself, Miss Bailey, the boss of all bosses, Sasha Banks, the Empress of Tomorrow, because no one is ready for her, Asuka, and she goes here now. The hair sweeping female goddess herself, Bianca Belair, and thank you for leaving your headband behind, Bobby Lashley. The big dog, if you're Michael Cole, Roman Reigns, and the ultimate opportunist of capturing all of our hearts, Edge, and the Scottish psychopath with the sword, Mr. Drew McIntyre. And the winner is Mr. Scottish psychopath, Drew McIntyre. Kyle, what did you think of the nominees of being Superstar of the Year, and are you happy with the overall winner?
Yeah, this was close for me. This was between actually Drew McIntyre and Sasha Banks for me, I believe. And that would have pretty much capped the year off for Sasha Banks. She was like, oh, screw WrestleMania. I won the AfterMat Superstar of the Year, along with 4 other AfterMat awards. But no, I feel like, both of them, as well as Bailey, carried their respective brands throughout the year. But I feel like the superstar of the COVID era will always be remembered as Drew McIntyre. He ushered in, winning, the biggest moment I think of this past, besides Undertaker's Boneyard match, I'm going back to WrestleMania 36 because this when COVID kind of began. Besides the Boneyard match was Drew McIntyre finally, after all those years, winning the championship. And I know how much it hurt diehard fans, and I'm sure it hurt Drew himself, but he didn't win it in front of a live audience, right? He didn't get that pop you get, when you win a title at such a big event, at the biggest event, it was indicative of how the year would go, right? With no audience, and stuff like that. And he just said, you know what? I'm here for the company. I'm putting it on my back. I'm going to do whatever I can to keep this business strong, deliver night in and night out, and maybe sometime in the future I'll get my moment. But I still am going to respect this title because it took me so long to earn it, and I'm going to carry it through. And I feel like that's why he, I feel, deserves Superstar of the Year, because not only did he carry the Raw brand, and I said, Sasha and Bailey carried the SmackDown brand, I feel like he carried the WWE universe as a whole. They were on that journey with him from rock bottom to come back and win, and then not being able to, you probably cheered at home for him, but you weren't able to, cheer for him in person kind of thing. Give out the same emotion as if it was not for COVID, right? So, and I feel like he carried that, us, not the universe, the company, the title, all on his back through the entire COVID era, which we're still in at the moment, but, we're easing out of it. And I feel like he best exemplified that, and that's why he garnered my vote. Plus, he has a sword, yes. Skye, your thoughts?
I do agree with you, Cal. I felt like he carried the WWE on his back during this entire COVID thing. I remember when he first came up, they did with him what they always do to people when they don't know what to do with him, and they put him in a makeshift tag team with Dolph Ziggler. And I'm thinking to myself, well, they're going to take a great superstar like Drew McIntyre, and they're pretty much going to make him useless. He's not going to do anything. He's going to go away like Braun Strowman. They're just going to bring him out to do gimmick matches and everything like that because they don't know what to do with him. He's a big guy, and they're probably going to have him feud with a couple other big guys, and then after that, he's just going to be walking around the locker room with nothing to do. And this was his time to shine, and boy, did he shine. I enjoy watching him work. I enjoy his mic skills. The guy is great in the ring, and the thing is, he shows off his athleticism because he's not just a big guy who throws out a couple of moves. He's moving around that ring and everything. He's entertaining to watch. Whoever he's feuding with and everything, it's always, especially his feud with Sheamus and everything. Both of those guys are just are big guys and everything, and you wouldn't expect them to move the way they do because of how big they are. You would expect them to kind of have a few move sets, and that's about it. Both of these guys are putting each other through the ringer and everything, but it's always entertaining to watch him. And as you said, I couldn't have said it better myself. This dude pretty much carried the WWE on his back throughout the entire COVID. So when you think of COVID and the WWE, you are definitely going to think of Drew McIntyre. Where he's going to go after all of this is said and done, I don't know. I hope they do utilize him more and more in the future to make him just as great as he is now. But only time will tell.
Delisha, you have any final thoughts on Superstar of the Year for Drew McIntyre before we move on to our finishers?
Yeah, I do agree about Drew being the one that you think about when you think about this COVID era, especially in the beginning. You know, he was there almost every week, putting in good work to make the show as best as they could, given the climate that we were in. And so I was really happy to see him win the title. Like you said, of course, we would have wanted him to be in the big crowd and getting that standing ovation that he truly deserved. But the fact that they put the company on his back was like, hey, we're going to give you the go ahead to just be our head guy. It really showed the faith that they had in him at this point when at one point we didn't think that would ever happen. Whether it be because of them dropping the ball or just not them believing in him. So I'm pretty happy for him throughout this year, and he's still one of the top tier guys coming into this next season. So who knows what the next Superstar of the Year might look like going forward.
Oh yeah, and Big Time said he missed 3 tapings because of COVID, at most because of COVID. But still, I feel he carried the brand. So I do agree with both of you. I think we are all in agreement for that he deserves this accolade. He is a workhorse, like Big Time says. I just thought of one more thing before we go to our finishers. Another award I'd like to see maybe in the future, maybe next year, is kind of off a verse or a lyric from the REM song "Losing My Religion." That's Me in the Corner award. I think that award, That's Me in the Corner award, should go to somebody who, like, where are they? Like, why are they not getting time on air? Kind of thing, kind of like Peyton Royce was before she left, Rusev before he left. Kind of like these people who deserve time.
Keith Lee, for goodness sake.
Keith Lee, yeah. Stuff like that. Like, all these people who are like, where are they? Like, they should be getting some spotlight, but that's Me in the Corner. So I think that could be a future award for next year's AfterMat. Like, someone you want to see on TV, but you're not seeing them. All right. So I'm going to do a little something new today. They don't even know what's coming, so it's going to kind of be a surprise to both of them. They're going to each get a question. Well, they're both going to get 2 questions, but, each of them is going to get it fresh. So one's going to have some time to think about it, but then the other one's going to get it fresh, and then the other one will get time to think about it for finishers. So I'm going to go to Skye first for this, and then Delisha, you have some time to think about it. It's nothing hard. Don't worry about it. It's so Skye, this is
told there would be no math.
So this is for you for your finisher. What are you going to remember most looking back on this AfterMat year? Not moment of the year, but I mean, like, what are you going to remember most or stuff like that?
You mean like from AfterMat show?
No, I mean the WWE programming.
Oh, what am I going to remember most?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, that is hard. There's a lot. You know what? Honestly, I think I'm going to remember the introduction of the Hurt Business. It's been a while since I've seen a faction and everything, and I was just talking about this to a friend of mine. I want to say the end of last year, and was like, man, I miss factions. I missed the Shield and things like that and stuff. Evolution, all that and everything. And then the Hurt Business was introduced, and I was like, there it is. And I'm really going to because I felt like the members that they had in this course, MVP coming back, and I've always been a fan of MVP. So when he kind of came back and everything, and I thought it was going to be a one-off. And then he was still there, and people was making jokes like MVP doesn't know his way out of the arena. Like, he's still hanging out. And I'm thinking, why is he still there? And then all of a sudden, the Hurt Business comes into formation, and you have Bobby Lashley, who desperately needed this time and everything, and Shelton Benjamin and everything, who I've always felt like was a great tactician within the ring and everything. It was great to see these. It was almost kind of reminded me a little bit of the Nation of Domination. I wish they would have made it even bigger and they kept them together. Dumb that they broke them up. It was so short-lived. They could have done so much because you had Bobby Lashley at the time, who was, I believe, the Intercontinental Champion or the U.S. champion, one of the two. And then you had, of course, they was also holding the tag team champions. MVP, I think he had won like a jiu-jitsu tournament, so he had a little medal. But everybody had some kind of gold, and I thought it was awesome. And like I said, I remember when they introduced themselves as the Hurt Business, and I remember saying, yes, a faction. I was so excited. So for me, that would probably be my most memorable time, because I was literally just talking about it like a couple of weeks before, and then they introduced themselves, and I was like, I swear, I think they're listening to me, and it was just amazing.
I think that's what we were talking about, actually, because I was telling you about one of the ideas we had for AfterTalk, and we're talking about stables. Delisha, what are you going to remember most about this year?
Yeah, that was a really good answer, Guy, because you almost kind of forget that they kind of got away with that with a little bit. It was more just tag team, or maybe like a third person involved. But even in NXT now, we are getting more into factions. So I mean, we had Undisputed Era, where that was it, and now we're getting some more with that as well, like the way and at the time the Pat McAfee brand before they put him on commentary,
and Imperium.
And Imperium before travel restrictions. I was gonna be, paying attention a lot more to the actual wrestling that was going on in the ring. Like I didn't have any more distractions from the crowd of being like, oh my gosh, like why are they chanting this? Like why can't they just be into this match? Or like why are you guys chanting this? Or you should be chanting this or whatever, what have you. And I really got to just dial into the show that was being presented to me and just really being captivated by the actual like wrestling of why one of the bigger reasons of why we love this business out when it comes, I mean, with the entertainment with it as well. But really just rediscover my love of the actual wrestling of the sport. And I'm glad to be able to appreciate that a little bit more without the distraction of a huge crowd swaying me in one direction or another.
Yeah, actually, for me, the thing I'm going to remember the most from this year is the innovation of the Thunderdome. I thought that was amazing. And I think actually it won an award for journalism or whatever, for broadcasting, because it was such an innovative thing and it brought life back to the WWE Universe, right? Because it's kind of annoying to see just like NXT wrestlers, a few NXT wrestlers scattered in the audience, or just empty seats alone. I think that was a great idea to have them on they had some few hiccups in the beginning with some, not safe for work images and stuff like that. But once it got it set and going, that was really cool. It made you feel like you're involved more, when you couldn't be. And I thought that was a great idea, and I'm never going to forget that. And I loved it. And then eventually when they piped in the sounds, that was pretty cool too. But I still love the implementation of the Thunderdome. I think that was the biggest thing to happen this year, other than COVID, obviously. But that was the great answer to what we were facing. All right, my second question, this one's going to go to Alicia first now, and then Skye's going to have some time to think about it, is, since I asked about the past year, now I'm going to ask about the future. We have a lot of up-and-coming talent in NXT. We also see the NXT former people are shining as all three of the respective women's champions. Who is... Oh, Big Time says the memories of the rain delay. It rained when I went to WrestleMania 29, I think it was, and we didn't have a delay. It just kept going. But, Delisha, who do you think is going to be the future? Who do you think is going to be... We'll give you one man and one woman to be potential superstars of the year for next year's AfterMat Award.
You mean as an
all-out winner, not just a nominee. Who do you think is going to be the all-out winner for the Superstar of the Year, male and female, for next year?
Okay. It's a little hard because we're still in the beginning of the year especially for the AfterMat season, and we're still kind of in that people coming back and making way for themselves. As far as males, what I would really want it to is Keith Lee, because he started out so strong, and I know the rumor is there's like some sort of like health issues going on, and that's why he hasn't been on television. Or like being cleared to do stuff. So I'm kind of hoping that he gets his proper due to really come in and be the superstar that he is, because as you know from the chat, like I've been watching like old NXT episodes, and I've actually gotten more into watching more like independent wrestling shows that are on YouTube. And I knew he was a star, but like this man truly is a phenomenon where he can move in the ring as a big guy. He can be agile maybe not as agile as a cruiserweight, but he can be as agile as one of your high flyers. And he can also really go on the mic when you let him just be himself. He's very charismatic. So I'm kind of hoping that they really let this year be the year that Keith Lee gets his time to shine and put the belt on him. I don't know which one yet, but put the belt on him and let him just be. As far as the women goes, that's a little bit tougher because we get a lot of start and stops with them, especially on Raw and SmackDown, to where they kind of don't put them in their full potential. There is a part of me that wants to say Io because she's so good in the ring, but as we also see with Asuka, she's not with English not being her first language, she's not as put through, so to speak, on promotion wise, and that is a big part of this business. Ooh, and it kind of feels like a cheat to say Rhea because she's now already being pushed. And I wonder if with the success of Bianca and the success of Sasha, will we see a return of pushing women who've put the work in? And right now my mind is on Naomi because I don't know if you guys have seen, like, after like a lot of the WrestleMania stuff was over, both Sasha and Bianca were like, we owe this to Naomi for always kind of being like the pioneer of the last few years, that is, of being that workhorse of the division. So it's quite possible that the company might it's funny because it seems like every few years Vince remembers that he has Naomi on his roster and remembers how good she is, and then she gets a push. Like, she's kind of getting a push now, even though it is as a tag team with Lana, which may not put her in the top tier of the women's division, but she can still go. She's still one of the most athletic people on the ring. So this is maybe a dark horse pick. I would like to see Naomi get another true shine. Like, she is a former women's champion, kind of unforgettable, but maybe we can make this run a more memorable one, whether it be as a formidable tag team champion or finally getting that women's championship belt and staking a more claim on her legacy. Again, that could be a dark horse pick, but it's really hard right now to choose with the women's division because of a lot of the start and stuff that they get on when it comes to Raw and SmackDown.
Okay, so Keith Lee and Naomi. Okay, I'm just gonna say. Okay, all right, Skye, same question.
I'm gonna have to agree with Alicia. My pick for male is going to be Keith Lee. I was really excited to see what he was capable of. Then he got cut short. That sucked because he's kind of unique in the ring. He's a big dude, and he doesn't really look like he's like in the best shape. But at the same time, you also have superstars like Kevin Owens, who is just all over the place, and you really love to see them go. But Keith Lee is just amazing, and I wanted to see more of him. It seemed like he was going to be getting a little bit of a push and everything. The dude is like really into anime, and he's into video games, and I thought that was awesome as well. Really kind of going into his, I think his favorite character was Broly, and I believe it was who was it?
Matt Riddle.
When he had his
Matt Riddle.
Yeah, when he was teaming up with Matt Riddle and all of them, and he was Riddle was giving them all like their nicknames, and he was like, "Oh, you could be Broly," and I was like, I thought it was pretty funny, but at the same time, like I said, I think that Keith Lee is. I just want to see more of him, and I felt like he kind of, I don't know if it's injury or whatever it is, why he's not on TV right now. He just gave an update about a week ago, but they haven't really been very clear about what's going on with him other than leaving it to speculation. A lot of people feel like it's some kind of injury. Some people thought he had COVID. It was just a bunch of stuff and everything, but I hope that he does get his time to shine because he deserves it, and it would be really good to see him with the title. Like Delisha said, I don't know which title, but I would love to see him with some kind of a title. As far as the female, I'm going to say Rhea Ripley. I feel like right now she's just a placeholder. because Charlotte was gone with COVID or whatever it is that she had and everything. And that's all she is, just a placeholder. They called her up. They said, hey, look, you're going to be the one to take the title from Asuka, and you're just going to sit there and hold the belt until Charlotte comes back. And Charlotte came back, and now she's here, and she's pretty much vying to get that title and everything. And you know she's going to get it because it's Charlotte freaking Flair. So she's going to get that title, and then Rhea Ripley is going to fade into obscurity. Like, I feel like that's what's going to happen and everything. They're not going to give her that time that she needs, because the moment that, I mean, they may decide to put her in a feud with Charlotte to try to get it back and everything like that. But I know there are other female superstars that are waiting to come back. Becky Lynch is supposed to be coming back here pretty soon, hopefully, fingers crossed and everything. And you know that's what everybody wants to see. Everybody wants to see Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. And of course, Becky Lynch dominate and take it. I know you don't want to see it, but I mean, people want to see it. They don't want to see Charlotte Flair with the title. But if Charlotte Flair has the title, if there's one person you want to see take it off her, it would be a returning Becky Lynch, or maybe even the newly crowned black woman.
Oh, Ronda Rousey? No, she's pregnant. She's pregnant, though. So she's going to miss time.
The newly crowned African-American woman. We'll see what happens and everything. But yeah, I do remember you just told me not too long ago that she announced that she was pregnant. But like I said, honestly, I just feel like Rhea Ripley is just going to be a placeholder. And the moment that title goes off of her, WWE is going to do what they always do, and they're going to forget that they have somebody like Rhea Ripley and everything. Like you was just talking about Naomi and everything. Naomi's great in the ring, and every couple of years, WWE remembers how great she is. And, oh, let's put you in there. And although, yes, she is tagged with Lana, I like the tag team. We talked about this in the last AfterMat. I said I really like them as a tag team. I love Lana. And I love Naomi, and putting them together, it just makes sense. They both love to dance and everything. I follow them both on their social media and seeing all the stuff that they post and everything, videos together and everything. It's really funny and everything. I love it. Their chemistry is amazing, and I think that's what makes a great tag team is the chemistry. And I believe that their chemistry mixes well and everything, so I do like that. However, WWE forgets how great Naomi is, and I feel like they're going to do the same thing to Rhea Ripley. Hopefully they don't, and if they don't, then yes, I feel like she would be in place for that superstar of the year and everything, because I have been following her for a while, and I think that she is great. Absolutely amazing to watch wrestle in the ring. And like I said, I wasn't disappointed in that match between her and Asuka. I didn't feel like it was a gimme. I didn't feel like either one of the women looked weak and everything. They both looked very strong. Of course, Rhea Ripley came out on top and everything. But again, like I said, we all know the only reason that she got the title was because Charlotte wasn't there. Originally, it was supposed to be Charlotte versus Asuka. And of course, Charlotte was going to take the title from Asuka. So what makes you think that they're going to give Rhea Ripley a very long run? It's not going to happen. The moment that Charlotte's already came back, she's already beat the crap out of both women. And I guarantee the next pay-per-view, Charlotte's going to take that title, and she is going to take her place as the queen of WWE, because that is who she is.
Okay, so you're saying Keith Lee and Rhea Ripley or Charlotte Flair?
Rhea Ripley.
Okay. For me, I believe, I guess everyone is first naming who they really want to be. You guys are saying Keith Lee, and you believe it's going to be Keith Lee. I really want it to be Cesaro. I think, you talk about people who put their work in, no one, I think, is putting their work in more in the men's division than Cesaro. Help training new talent, going down to NXT just to help develop new talent, coming back, being there, being the workhorse like Drew McIntyre, not complaining. You know, he's finally got on the mic off by himself, saying, I want my chance. I feel like Cesaro, if they do give him that push, he will be up there for Male Superstar of the Year. However, I am a realist. And as the women have Charlotte Flair as their John Cena, the men currently have their John Cena, which is not John Cena. It's Roman Reigns. And I feel like Roman Reigns is still going to be there for his Male Superstar of the Year next year. So I see it's going to be Roman Reigns. Now, for the first time ever on AfterMat, which I guess this would be the first time ever because this is the first time I ever asked this question, but we also have, we agree on the women because I have another RR, not only Roman Reigns, but I have Rhea Ripley. I feel like Rhea Ripley is going to hold the title and be dominant in the women's division. I think she should finally get her, as much as Charlotte Flair is the freaking John Cena of whatever. I think maybe Rhea Ripley will defend the first time because there'll be a triple threat match and she'll probably end up pinning Asuka. And then there'll be a one-on-one match, and maybe Charlotte will win because Charlotte never loses one-on-one. I think she's only lost once at a pay-per-view in a singles match, and that was to Bayley. Other than that, she's never lost in a singles match at a pay-per-view, especially when it's a title match. But yeah, I think Rhea Ripley can hold it. I feel like she should. She deserves it. People are getting sick of. At least I am getting sick of Charlotte Flair. Like, I don't need to see her again as champion. There's no point. Why put it on her? I guess it brings it a better draw for the universe, to sell tickets. But they don't worry about selling tickets at the moment. So who cares? Let Rhea Ripley hold it. So I feel like Rhea Ripley will be up there for the female superstar of the year as well. So double R.
Yeah.
For both.
I think I do agree with that. I don't want Charlotte getting another title right now. I mean, she will win another title. There's just no doubt about that. And I will say, like, I know we bag on Charlotte a lot. Well, with me, I speak for myself only. There's no actual, for me, hate on Charlotte. It's the way that she is constantly booked to be always the winner, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, like you said, we get that John Cena. I didn't want people to think that, like, we actually, like, hate on Charlotte.
Oh, no, I hate on Charlotte Flair.
She's really great. She's
I'll
really
say
great.
Right now, I hate on Charlotte Flair.
Yeah. And actually, last week, she cut one of the best promos. Not last week, the week before last. She cut one of the best promos as a heel that she has almost ever done. And I was, like, applauding that. I was like, thank you. That's the Charlotte you should be. Own up to who you are and who you're always being booked as. And just let the hate wash over you. So there is that.
Okay, Emperor Palpatine.
I'm just saying, Charlotte works best as a heel, and that is how she should be booked to be. So,
Okay, Emperor Palpatine.
and I really love Rhea too. Like I've been following her since her NXT UK days up to NXT North America, I guess, and then up to Raw. So I'm really hoping that she does get a good strong push. But as you say, Kyle, we always know how they treat a lot of the newcomers, especially when they're coming up from NXT. Looking at you, Ricochet. To where even though they have the crowd behind them, whether now it's just mainly online crowd heat or not heat or support than actual crowd support. I would love for us to revamp the women's division on Raw. SmackDown's doing great, NXT's doing great. The Raw women's division it's something. So I just kind of really want them to really showcase that more a little bit too.
All right.
And throwing in some new blood and bringing Becky back when she's ready. Guys, I'm looking at you. Let her come back when she's ready. Being a mom is hard. Okay, I don't know from first-hand experience, but from what I see, it is hard work. Let her come back when she's ready. And it's going to be great.
With that said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the AfterMat Awards, but not before we have Skye tell us where we can find him.
Yes, you can find me on social media. You can find me on Twitter at MoonKnight1111. You can find me on YouTube at Skye Inc. You can also find me on Instagram at SkyRenwood757.
All right. And Delisha, what about you? And
yes, you can you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Delisha Renee TV, where on YouTube I do have a health and lifestyle channel just showcasing my life as I go through it. And also doing like recipes that I've been testing out in my kitchen to make better for you versions of your favorite foods.
All right. Before I go on to my plugs, I just want to go ahead and thank Skye for joining us. You did another wonderful job. Also, Delisha, for another wonderful year. Thank you for sitting alongside me and being my tag team partner through all this. Cannot forget Eric Monroe, always a legacy here, coming back every year, kind of like The Undertaker. Even though he's the Hitman, he's the Undertaker of our show, coming back for the AfterMat Awards and honoring his mother. We cannot forget Willow Firefox, Joe Butler, SydeWalkClosed, who all voted in the AfterMat ballot. And we cannot forget Big Time Gaming for helping us break those ties when our ballot was deadlocked. Everyone who I just mentioned, all their YouTubes, their Twitches if they have it, their Twitters if they have it, are all listed below, so make sure you check them out. So thank you all once again. Thank you to the AfterMat. We need like for our supporters, we need like a name for them, but we'll think of it sometime. For our AfterMat supporters, stuck with us for another year, we will be going strong again for season 5 of AfterMat, which debuts on May 17th, promptly right after WrestleMania Backlash pay-per-view. As for me, you can find me over here on the Kingslaying Network. Like I said, I don't have a game to stream currently. When a game comes out that I feel worthy of streaming, I will go ahead and stream that. But like I said, the next time you'll see us is here on AfterMat Backlash.
You just gave me a flashback when you said May 17th. Do you remember when Kane would just randomly say that May 17th and it wound up being a big reveal of the movie See No Evil?
Oh, I had no idea. No,
it's amazing what the brain comes up with. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, yep. So remember, guys. Thank you, everyone, once again for joining us, and we will be back on May 17th for See No Evil. No, wait, for AfterMat Backlash. Until then, keep slamming the haters and be the champion of your dreams. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Later.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. Finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest. Echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And we'll grow